Welcome to the Daily Loop video. For full disclosure, this has been recorded without audio and I'm adding the audio afterwards. Going through the scouted players list, just sort of my positions. The keeper here is just too expensive for us. This keeper, just a combination of really not quite good enough combined with too expensive. And this keeper is kind of ticking all the boxes for everything we need, really. Lower wages, lower age than what we got now. We do go on to buy this player at the end after we check everybody else. We do check here. It's another +3 shot stopping, decent boost. It's got a decently high ceiling, 68 from where he is now. Quite a bit of room for growth. Just a lot of reasons to really like this guy. And yeah, as I say, we go on to buy him. This DC, just not quite where he needs to be for that age. This DC, not quite good enough, not quite good enough, not quite good enough. Sorry, not good enough at all. Not too old, too old. Too low tackling. He's a right back. He might be good enough if we did use right backs, but we don't. That guy's not as good. This guy, just too old. Too old. Passing is too low. I think we mull on a bit, but in the end just conclude that there isn't enough there to offset that low passing pretty much. Right, we don't use right wing backs, so that's basically just going to exclude all of these players unless they happen to be good enough to overcome the fact that we don't use that position, which none of them were. I think the left mids, from memory, they were kind of both decent, but just a bit on the old side and not really a material upgrade from what we got. Although that one in particular, that first one, if we didn't have a left midfielder, and this second one, they're both good. As in, we would be happy to use either of them. They're in our starting squad, we keep them for ages, but yeah, they're just not a big enough of an upgrade over what we got right now. Not where he needs to be, basically. Not good enough at all. Not where he needs to be at this stage for us, and too expensive. Yeah, he's not quite where he needs to be either. It's a bit of a theme, really, and with these younger players. So, too old, too low tackling. Just not where he needs to be at that age. Too old. Not good enough. Not where he needs to be at that age. And just, yeah, too high wages as well. This next guy, I think, he's like a maybe. I think if we... He's got the minimum wages and whatever. If we needed players just to round out the squad, we would maybe get him, but... Yeah, maybe, but if we end up not getting him, he's probably not quite there, but he's not far off, I think. So, yeah. We check the boosts, even, to sort of, as we are mulling it over, but we end up deciding it's just not quite there. If it was next season and we knew we needed an MC, we may have got him then, but yeah, for now, we just gave a pass, but it was close. This guy, just not high enough tackling. This right midfielder's just too old. This guy, just not good enough. Don't use left winger. This AMC, I think he's pretty good on the whole, but just a bit old for us. But yeah, he's pretty close to just exactly what we want. If we could find a similar player at a few years younger, we may have gone for him if that was the case. This guy, not as good. This guy, just... I think not quite where he needs to be for that age. Don't use right winger. And don't use right winger. And then we're on to the strikers. Right, so just too slow. Sort of decent, but not quite where he needs to be, but not a far off. I think part of it is again, like that other player, if it was next season and we knew that we needed the striker, we would probably get him because he does have the minimal wages. This guy, just not where he needs to be. And again, not where he needs to be. Not good enough. Just too expensive. We mull a bit, but in the end, we notice the price. And this guy, yeah, just not good enough, basically. Then we go to the training. There are no training options. I'm not sure if we already checked we didn't check the transfer bids yet. I'm not sure if we just forgot to check them all together this day. Find out in a sec. This guy got his extra position, we're just noticing. And then we're on to the academy trialist. So, again, this guy's kind of pretty good or whatever, but we don't use a right back. That's kind of an issue there. This DC still about. This DC got his passing revealed, it's pretty good. So he's still about. And this keeper, still waiting on his shot stopping. This striker got his finishing. It is 50, which is decent, but yeah, he's just not quite where he. And this keeper is sort of the one that we will end up with if the other one doesn't have good shot stopping. This keeper comes out. We got another really good keeper. This guy looks really good as well. We're just now going back over and checking our other keepers just to see if we want to swap either of them out for him. I think from memory we end up bringing him in for the right back maybe. And having 3 keepers. I think that might be what we end up doing. We're just sort of making note. We're just trying to point the mouse to what we're actually thinking about at the time to help us narrate this a bit. So yeah, at the moment we're just doing a whole bunch of pointing, comparing all these attributes between the keepers, but I don't need to heavily. Like I was trying to decide which of these 2 to move out for him, or whether to not keep this one. But in the end, I think we just keep all 3, and I think we move the right back or the striker out because I think we conclude that this striker he's not quite good enough for his attribute combinations to play any of the roles we need. Right, this guy's just not good enough. Just not good enough. Not good enough. Too low tackling, for example. It's just not good enough. Tackling is a bit on the low side, and the other stuff doesn't make up for it. Don't use right back. We would, and he's not as good as the one we're holding at the moment. We do check just to double check that is the case, but it is the case. So because we don't use the right backs and we've already got 1, we certainly don't need 2 when we don't even use them. Still mulling it over, but we basically conclude that even if that speed comes out really high, he's still not quite as good as the other guy anyway. So this guy, 5 shot stopping, he's kind of okay, this guy. I think we don't get him in the end just because the vision is low and the tackling is a bit low. Not good enough. The finishing is up and it looks good, but there's a lot of really low attributes there. This guy, tackling and passing both really low. This guy, tackling really low, passing not shown yet. He's got a very high average, but I think the determination in particular being 22 is a bit of a hindrance to just pushing for that high all-rounder. Don't use right winger. I think we go back just to double check this guy. If the passing comes out really high, would we consider him basically? The answer to that is kind of a maybe, but I think we don't in the end. Alright, this guy's got 51 shot stopping and whatever, but he's not as good as the other keeper at the top, so we automatically or the other 2 we have, and we're not going to go with 4 keepers. This guy, the tackling's too low, and this guy's got 60 finishing, but only 25 speed and 22 composure and other stuff. And we're just quickly going back and comparing him to our striker and conclude that the one that we've currently got is a bit better. So, like I said, I think in the end we do conclude that we're just explaining here basically now that this guy can't really be anything, but he's still better than the other guy. Oh no, we're moving him out for the keeper. Okay, so we end up moving the striker out for the keeper because we basically conclude that his attribute combinations for the striker just exclude him from being like a poacher, a target man, like any of the roles that we would use. He sort of just doesn't have the right combination of attributes for any of them. So we move him out knowing that he will never develop into the striker we need him to be, and instead just bring that extra keeper in. Obviously, we're not going to promote 3. We almost certainly won't even promote 2, but we should be able to end up with 1 here that's pretty good now. We've got sort of 3 chances. One of them we're waiting on the shot stopping and he could just go out straight away if that's not super high, and then we'll be left with 2. So then we just go back and we are just going to go back and buy this keeper now. Just making a final decision and mulling it over, but I know in the end we do decide to get him. Basically, he's just too good to pass up for the... because he has that really good combination for us of like really high attributes, in particular for the shot stopping and the handling and whatnot, for things that we really care about, and then low attributes for the things that we're less bothered about, which is important because it means that his overall rating is low compared to how good he is for us, which keeps his wages low. So we buy him and it gets us this keeper that we're happy to basically start for a long time, potentially on 300k wages at the moment. And I think we just go into the team and select him, but then that'll be it. So, yeah. So thanks for watching the daily roundup. I don't think it'll be a regular thing doing this format just because it's extra work to record it and then do the audio afterwards. But in any case, it would just be interesting to see what you think. It's definitely moves at a much faster pace. Can't really... I think it's much more for not really explaining anything much here and just like a narration of what's going on, but not explaining any reasoning. Which might be interesting, like just to see click through or whatever. But I think if we were to do this sort of format, we probably won't do the narration and edit on afterwards. Maybe we will. I don't know, but let us know. Thanks for watching. Cheers.